We open with a quick look at the discontinuation notice posted in the cars of the 2nd Avenue elevated trains in 1942. The portion north of 59th Street had already been eliminated in 1940, but the section from South Ferry to 59th Street and across the Queensboro Bridge continued to run for another 2 years. Here we are looking at the South Ferry station from street level. The 9th Avenue L and 6th Avenue L had their own platform here, and that had already been torn away for the most part by the time these views were made. This is during the last week of operation of the 2nd Avenue L. The 3rd Avenue L, which also shared these tracks from here to Chatham Square, would continue to operate until 1950. But we're looking at a northbound 2nd Avenue L train leaving South Ferry, heading around the sharp curve onto Front Street. Notice the semaphore in the upper right has just changed. The west side and the east side elevated lines each had their own platforms at South Ferry, comprising one island platform and one outside platform each. We're riding in a 2nd Avenue elevated train from South Ferry up to the first station, Hanover Square. A view of the stained glass windows in the station, built in the 1870s. Fulton Street Station and Franklin Square Station. Notice the BMT elevated train on the Brooklyn Bridge directly overhead. Franklin Square Station was directly under the Brooklyn Bridge on Pearl Street, and the north of Franklin Square, the 2nd Avenue and 3rd Avenue elevated lines diverged. The 2nd Avenue L stayed on the main level. The 3rd Avenue L moved into the middle and rose to the upper level of Chatham Square. This is Chatham Square from the 2nd Avenue L platform on the South Ferry branch, looking toward the tower at the junction of Pearl and Division Streets. The 2nd Avenue L operated on Division Street for one very long block all the way over to Allen Street. And here we are looking out the front of a northbound 2nd Avenue train coming around the curve from Division Street into Allen Street, looking at Canal Street Station. This truss bridge spanned Delancey Street after Delancey Street was widened out to make it an approach to the Williamsburg Bridge. Notice the old New York City Omnibus Corporation yellow coach in the picture there. We continue farther north on the 2nd Avenue L on Allen Street. This is First Street Station, where Allen Street becomes First Avenue. So this station is at First Avenue and First Street. There's a northbound 2nd Avenue Express as seen from our local train, looking north toward the 14th Street Station, probably from Rivington Street Station. 14th and 86th Street were the two double-deck elevated stations on the 2nd Avenue L. The other express stations were single level. Here we are approaching 14th Street Station on the local level, following another train close behind. On the Manhattan L's, there were no block signals on the local tracks. We are looking north here from 14th Street Station. Now, actually, we're looking south. Here's a northbound 2nd Avenue Express just arrived at 14th Street upper level and now is pulling out heading north. Up in the distance may be seen the 19th Street local station, and way beyond that may be seen the curve at 23rd Street, where the 2nd Avenue L curved from 1st Avenue over to 2nd Avenue. 19th Street was a local station. There's a northbound local leaving. This sign was typical of those on all the Manhattan elevated lines. A street scene along 1st Avenue south of 23rd Street. Notice the round wrought iron or cast iron pillars, which were typical of 2nd and 9th Avenue L construction. This northbound local is turning from 1st Avenue northward into 23rd Street westward to get over that block from 1st Avenue to 2nd Avenue. Now we're doing the same thing on a northbound express. We're rounding the curve northbound at 23rd Street and 1st Avenue. The 23rd Street station was in the middle of the block, as seen here, and the 3rd Avenue L's 23rd Street station, which was an express station, may be seen one block farther west. Now we're rounding the curve from 23rd Street into 2nd Avenue and heading north on 2nd Avenue. There's the Daily News building. We're approaching 42nd Street station, which was a single-level, two-platform express station. There's a northbound express leaving the middle track, leaving on the middle track from 42nd Street, and there's 42nd Street looking west with the 3rd Avenue L station and a trolley on 42nd Street, the Chrysler building. A view of a northbound local train. The conductor has just pulled the bell cord, signaling the next conductor to pull his bell cord and that it's time to move, and he thus signals the motorman as the bell signal is passed through the train. This is 50th Street Station with a northbound express turning in front of us heading for Queens. This is 59th Street, and as you can see, the portion north of here has already been demolished. But we've turned from 59th Street onto the Queensboro Bridge and are heading over the bridge to Queensboro Plaza. From here, our train might continue either to Astoria or to Corona. We're on the lower level at Queensboro Plaza now, looking at Manhattan-bound trains. There's a Manhattan-bound 2nd Avenue L train from either Astoria or Corona, heading back over the bridge, which we shall proceed to do. Now we're riding a train from the lower level of the IRT half of the Queensboro Plaza station back across the Queensboro Bridge in 1942, remember. After the L tracks were removed, another automobile roadway was built where the L tracks had been, but that was done after the Second World War. The two-lane automobile roadway on the left had been built in the 1920s or 30s. We're back in Manhattan now, rounding the curve off the Queensboro Bridge into the 57th Street station. This was not an express station. The express track passed right through it on the main level. The upper level was only for inbound trains from Queens. We come down now to 50th Street Junction, and we're heading downtown rather quickly. Here's the curve at 23rd Street and 2nd Avenue again, turning into 23rd Street, passing the 23rd Street station in the block, and then turning onto 1st Avenue again to head southbound. 14th Street station again, this time on the local track. Looking southward from the 14th Street lower level, passing Canal Street station as we turn onto Division Street from Allen Street and head back over to Chatham Square. Now at Chatham Square, the trains could take either the branch to City Hall or the branch to South Ferry, passing under the 3rd Avenue L's branch from South Ferry, as you see being done here. This 2nd Avenue train is turning into the South Ferry branch, on the lower level of the double-deck station on the South Ferry branch. This train is heading straight across the junction, passing under the 3rd Avenue L and heading toward the City Hall branch. Here's another look at the junction at Division Street and Pearl Street. This train again is turning into the South Ferry branch, but the City Hall branch may be seen off on the right. There's the lower level of the Chatham Square station, which was for 2nd Avenue trains. The upper level was for 3rd Avenue trains. And heading south, the two levels merged and the 2nd and 3rd Avenue tracks joined at Franklin Square, right under the Brooklyn Bridge. We have two views of that arrival at Franklin Square station. Now we head south from Franklin Square. The next station would be Fulton Street, then Hanover Square, and then South Ferry again. Ahead was a flagman warning us of some work being done on the portion of the line here, probably in preparation for discontinuation of 2nd Avenue service, although 3rd Avenue L service would continue on this South Ferry branch until 1950. Here's a northbound work train on Pearl Street in the financial district, and a southbound 2nd Avenue local. You can see the discontinuation notices posted in the side windows. The Coenty Slip curve between Hanover Square and South Ferry brought the 2nd Avenue and 3rd Avenue L tracks around a spectacular S-curve leading from Pearl Street to Front Street. And as the dwarf signal changes there, we move down into the South Ferry station for the last time and conclude our look at the 2nd Avenue L in color.